Okay, let's go ahead and get going. For those of you who have just joined, welcome to the affiliate training webinar for the month of March. My name is Chad Waite over here at AvantLink. I do the marketing, and if you've ever been on one of these webinars before in the past, or if you've ever seen a training video that we may have, or a support video that we may have on our YouTube channel or on our internal pages, hopefully you'll recognize my voice from those. These affiliate interface trainings and strategy sessions generally last anywhere between about 35 to 60 minutes, just depending on what topics we're covering and even the amount of questions that you guys as attendees ask. Now, that's actually kind of a good segue onto my first little point here. As attendees, you are by default muted. But if at any time you have a question, you're welcome to do one of two things. You're welcome to either hit this little hand raise icon in your GoToWebinar control panel, and that just lets me know that you have a question. I can take you off of mute, you can ask it, and hopefully I'll get you an answer that is satisfactory to you. Or the other option is, of course, writing that question in using the little questions box right here in your GoToWebinar control panel as well. So either way lets me know that you have a question, and don't be scared to ask a question. We get tons of them each and every time that we have one of these interface trainings and strategy sessions. So ask away. This, of course, will be recorded as well. So if you do need a quick refresher on anything that we cover, the recording of this, hopefully, seeing how much time I have, should be up on the blog either tomorrow or even by the end of the week sometime. So just kind of keep an eye out for that. Now, today we are going to cover some basic information that we cover every time on the affiliate interface. This doesn't take long, 10 to 15 minutes at most, and it just kind of covers some core essential elements that you need to be aware of as an affiliate on the AvantLink network when it comes to kind of managing your activity within the network. So some really key important elements. Now, it looks like there's actually a fair number of new affiliates, at least on this list that I'm seeing here. So that's fantastic to see that we've got a lot of people on board. After that, though, is kind of the real meat and potatoes of the presentation. We are going to be looking at some basic SEO tips for affiliates who are very heavily content driven. For many of you in the past who have been on these, if you recall that we use WordPress sites often to demo, how to use tools and or certain strategies. So today will not be any different. We'll actually be looking at a WordPress site that we've used in the past to kind of show how things are optimized. And I guess the disclaimer here should be that we are certainly not SEO pros. So this is just purely speculative stuff, mostly from my end, and things that we've seen affiliates do that have been working well for them. Of course, paired with a lot of reading up and staying on top of the search engine optimization industry and kind of the latest tactics and stuff to come out of that realm of the internet. So let's go ahead and get started. The first part, of course, we are going to be looking at the AvantLink affiliate interface. And for this, we're going to be using a quick demo account that I have right here that I use for purposes of these demos. And everything on here should look almost exactly like what you'll see in your interface, with the exception that your data will be, of course, different. Now, when you log in every time, there are two things that I would really recommend that you do, that you check every single time. The first one is, of course, the quick stats box, and this is very straightforward. The quick stats box is a simple high-level overview of the activity that's going on within your realm of being affiliate. That includes things like ad impressions you've served, click-throughs, the number of sales that have been made, and so on and so forth. You can actually slice and dice this data real quick from the day, the week, or the month, just kind of for some quick access like this, just to kind of get a good feel for the activity within your program. Now, if you come over here to the right, you'll see this little announcements box. This is the other thing that I'd recommend paying attention to every single time you log in, because oftentimes there are some very important notifications in there. This one, of course, the latest one, was for this strategy webinar that you're on right now, so hopefully most of you got here through either this announcement or our emails. I believe we're actually going to put up a new one today, though, that details a new report that you as affiliates need to be aware of, especially if you're very data feed driven and you utilize data feeds a lot. This will be a very big announcement for a type of report that I think you'll find to be very useful. So the point is, anytime you see something populating this announcements box, make sure you're very familiar with whatever's being said in there. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how to find and apply to different merchant programs. Now this is again pretty straightforward, but what you need to do is come up here to this top merchant navigation link up here towards the top. Click on that, and you will then be taken to a full breakdown of all merchants within AvantLink. Now there's a couple things here that are worth pointing out right off the bat, and first that's the ability to filter out exclusive merchants that are only found on the AvantLink network and don't have any other programs running in any networks. Now a lot of affiliates like to go for these exclusive programs, so to find those just click this box and then hit Get Merchants, and that'll take you to a full list of AvantLink exclusives below. You can also search for merchants based on their current status. So if I want to look for merchants based on no relationship, so those that I can apply to and become an affiliate for, I can search for that. I can also search for active merchants that I may have an existing relationship with. And then finally, a couple different options. For this demonstration, though, I'm just going to choose no relationship, and I'm just going to hit Get Merchants right here. And this is going to bring me down to a full list of, once again, merchants that I don't have a relationship with. If there is one that I do like, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's come down here. Berg Ski and Snowboard Shop, I really like these guys. Everything over here. This kind of gives you some high-level details, just really quick on a side note, of this particular merchant, including the commission rate, referral days, sale volume, and so on. You know, it looks like we have a quick question. Let me go ahead and find who raised their hand. Okay, looks like Myrna, you are taken off of mute. What's your question? Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all. Definitely not the first time to happen. So once again, it does look like there are a fair number of people who just joined up. Really quickly, let me just go ahead and say that everybody by default is muted. So if you have a question, you can go ahead and click your little hand raise icon right here to let me know that you have a question, and I can then take you off of mute. Or you can write a question in the question box if you prefer to type it instead of actually ask it. So keep that in mind as we move forward, and once again, do not be afraid to ask questions. Okay, let's keep going. So I like this program as an affiliate. I'm excited about joining this program. So all I need to do to actually submit an application to this merchant is come right over here to this Details and Apply button. Click that. And that is going to take me to a full breakdown of this program and the description and all the details that I as an affiliate need to know about it. Most program descriptions, just like this, offer a full breakdown of kind of the company's history and what they offer and maybe their focus with like their products, as well as details on the actual program itself. So you're going to see commission rates, cookie lengths, and so on. If this is what you like and you agree to all the terms and conditions down here, just accept the terms and conditions and hit Apply Now. And I'm actually going to do this live on this one just so you can see what it looks like. Now, most merchants have it so that they'll review your application first, and you'll get a little notification that says your application has been submitted and your application is being reviewed. So once they decide to either say yay or nay to your application, then you will have access to their program. Some merchants do have this on auto approve, so you'll be approved automatically. The one thing that's important to know here, and I don't think this is something we've ever actually covered on training interfaces in the past, or interface trainings in the past, is that if you submit an application to a merchant, the merchant is given 7 days to either say yay or nay to approving you or denying you into their program. So in that 7-day period, if they don't take action on approving or denying your application, you'll be automatically approved after that 7-day period. So as an affiliate, you can be rest assured that you're not just going to be sitting here indefinitely kind of waiting for your application to either be approved. You will have an answer one way or another after 7 days. So that is fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about reporting. Now, reporting, if you're an analytics junkie and you like to see kind of, granular details on all activity within your account, just know that the reports on AvantLink are very robust. I'm actually not going to go into too much detail on this just because there's simply too much information to really kind of go over from a high level. The only thing that I can say is really try to dig into reports for yourself and get familiar with them. I will say that on the home screen, all the blue numbers in the quick stats box right here are linked up to the corresponding report. So let's say we want to talk about ad impressions, and I want to see where my yesterday's 15 ad impressions came from. I can simply click on that, and that's going to take me to the corresponding report that breaks down all those numbers. The other way to get to the reporting screen, though, is, surprise, surprise, up here in the top right where it says reports, go ahead and just click on that. And that's going to bring you to a performance summary for the day. That is the default report. Now, with these reports, again, you can get very granular and very specific with what information you actually want to see. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to hit this show report form. And when I do that, it gives me the ability to select a bunch of different reports that I can view. So that's going to include things like performance summaries, click and impression tracking reports, sales and commissions, and so on. The new one that we just launched is a data feed quality report, which is really cool. Again, if you are an affiliate who utilizes merchant data feeds, this report gives you a full breakdown of every single data feed from every single merchant on our network and gives you the quality score and what information you can expect in it. So that's a new report. If you are a data feed driven affiliate, check that out. Below this, I can, of course, select the date, so a time frame. So maybe I want to check my performance summary for this month. And then you can also specify a certain start and end date. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this. And for now, I'm just going to once again go to this click-through number right here. And I'm going to click on this even further. Remember, any blue number that's populated in the reports, you can go ahead and click on to get further information. Looks like we have one quick question. Okay, so I'm not going to say this name out loud, and I won't even say the merchant, but there's a question that says probably best answered off the webinar. Chad, I have a pending application with a certain merchant program. Now, back to what I just said. That's a great question to bring up. There are certain programs that do have an exception to that 7-day rule. So when you apply to them, they actually don't have that 7-day rule necessarily apply to them because of a couple situations that I'm not going to get into too much detail, but if you are familiar with what's called the affiliate tax nexus laws in certain states, generally we find that that merchant programs need to either manually approve at their own time frames each application that goes into their program depending on the state of the affiliate. So that's a really that's a totally different topic, a whole nother can of worms here. But just be aware that there are several merchants that may not have that immediate 7-day approval or denial time frame associated with them. For the most part, that's in place, but that's a great question. Hopefully that answers it without being too obscure here. Great, glad to hear that answered your question. Good question, though. Very good question. Okay, back to the reports. Click-through summary for March. So we clicked on the clicks for that I've sent over to the Camp Saver program here for the month of March. I've clicked on that, and that's going to break down, the actual affiliate website that I've used to send those over. Maybe I want to get one step further, though. So I'm going to click on those click-throughs once again. It's going to show me what the tool name was. So in this case, I actually used a third-party application. I'm going to take it one step further. I actually want to see exactly where those clicks came from. So now it's actually showing me the referral URL. As you can see, this is actually a post that I did on the demo site that we'll be looking at a little bit later for a flashlight review that's up. So you can actually see where the clicks and the ad impressions and everything that you're facilitating as an affiliate through your efforts is coming from. You can get super granular with the actual data and the reports that you're looking at. So just be aware that reports are very robust. Now, from a high level, most affiliates want to be aware of really, really key performance indicators. So things like actual sales that are being made. And if this sounds like you, but maybe you're not logged into your AvantLink account 24/7, which I would say is most of us, right? You can actually subscribe to certain reports or data points being emailed to you through what's called our notification center. And to find this, you'll want to come over here to the account section. And then scroll down about halfway down where it says Notification Center here. And with this area, you can actually subscribe to event notifications through either email or if you're an RSS feeder through RSS. And there's a number of different things that you can subscribe to, for lack of a better word. But I would say that the biggest one here is transaction updates. Right here and right here. And that means that anytime that there's a sale made through one of your affiliate links, you get emailed details on that sale, who it was for, the amount that it was for, and when it actually took place. And this is a really great way to actually stay on top of your affiliate marketing efforts, even when you're not necessarily logged into your interface. So if you're serious about your affiliate marketing efforts, definitely make sure that you're being notified outside of necessarily just being logged in to the AvantLink interface. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, if you're a Firefox user or if you have an iOS device or an Android device, you can get these add-ons or mobile phone applications that do something really cool. They port in on both the add-on for Firefox and the mobile apps. They port in all of the information from this quick stats box here in a really easy to consume mobile app or add-on for Firefox. And basically it just shows all the same information that you'd be getting in this quick stats box here. And it's a very handy way, once again, to stay on top of your activity outside of being logged into your account here. So that's really about it. Normally I touch on ad tools as well. The only thing that I want to touch on today is if you are new to the network and you're looking for the very basic tools like banner ads and text ads, just be aware that you can get those by coming to Add Tools, Merchant Ads, and then Get Ads right here. And that'll give you a screen where you can actually select the ads from whatever merchant it is that you're an affiliate for, and then you can go ahead and just get the ads by clicking that button. I'm not going to dive too much into this right here though, because one thing that AvantLink is known for, and I'm sure that's why many of you have an affiliate account with us, is we are known for our robust tool suite. And normally on these interface trainings every month, we would actually go through and take a look at how to utilize either a specific tool or maybe a strategy that utilizes multiple tools, and how to integrate that in with like your content or your site's purpose or whatever it may be. This time we're not going to be doing that. We're of course going to be looking at some SEO recommendations, which is a little off the beaten path for us. On the other hand, if you do want to learn about our tools, the best way by far and away to do this is to log into your account, come up here to the Add Tools section, and click on every single one of these ad tools. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, let's do the dynamic deal feed. And when I click on that, it gives you a quick written description of what the tool is, as well as generally a 5 to 10 minute training video on what the tool is, how to set it up as an affiliate, and how to actually get it on your site, and more importantly, what it looks like to the end user. If you are an affiliate who's stuck, or not stuck, but you're accustomed to just using banner ads, text ads, and maybe even data feeds, I would really, really encourage you to look at the full, robust tool suite that AvantLink has to offer. We have some crazy innovative product level tools that really help integrate with the content on your site. Furthermore, I would also recommend going to avantlink.com, hitting our blog section right here. And when you've hit that blog section, come over here to this categories drop-down box and hit affiliate webinar recordings. This takes you to an archive of basically every major affiliate webinar that we've done that talks about strategies and suggestions on how to use tools in the most effective ways. In fact, last month we did a webinar recording that I know many of you were on for tactics for non-intrusive advertising. Basically the best way to integrate ads without making it seem like you're actually advertising to your end user. All of these have been recorded. I would really recommend, if you're serious about taking your affiliate marketing to the next level, watch these, get familiar with our tool base, and know how to integrate, advertisements into your content and onto your sites a little bit more than just the typical banner ads and text ads that you may be accustomed to. Okay, so there we go, done with the interface training. Before we move on to the SEO portion of this presentation, do we have any questions at all on anything that we have covered or maybe even haven't covered? Okay, you know what? Looks like we're good. Remember, if at any time you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Let's get on then to some basic SEO recommendations that we have for content-driven affiliates. Now, like I said at the beginning of this webinar, these recommendations are going to be looking solely at affiliates who are, once again, very content-heavy. You're a web publisher or a blogger. And for purposes of today's demo, I'm going to stick with my tried and true WordPress build, and you guys are welcome to follow along with this over at outdoorgearreviews.com. This is an affiliate site that I've made for demo purposes. You're always welcome to reference it if you're looking for tools or just anything. So you're always welcome to follow along with this. The other thing that I'm going to do is I've put together a little kind of, not a PowerPoint, but just a little slide share real quick. This is just a couple high-level points which we're going to be covering today. And like I said, these are very, very basic SEO tips. Many of you are probably familiar with the majority of them. If you're not, these should be things that are incredibly actionable. It doesn't take, well, first off, it doesn't take any budget to accomplish, and it doesn't really take any technical know-how or skills beyond what you're probably already using on your day-to-day basis as an affiliate anyway. So let's go ahead and dive into things. This is basic SEO tips for content-driven affiliates. One last thing, actually, before I start this off, if you would like a copy of this presentation, you're welcome to hit us up on Twitter or Facebook. Our Twitter is just twitter.com/AvantLink or facebook.com/AvantLink. We'd be happy to send you over one, or you can always email us at support@avantlink.com too. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Basic SEO tips for content-driven affiliates. SEO, of course, and this is really the basics here, stands for search engine optimization. And to boil it down to the most very basic overview of what SEO actually is the way a website is set up to maximize exposure in search engine result pages, or what we'll commonly refer to from here on out as SERPs. In other words, how does a website get noticed by Google? In the past, and this is a long time ago, back in the early 2000s, SEO was a lot more simple. And if there's one thing we know it's constantly evolving. Now, for purposes of this presentation, we are going to refer to SEO and search engines strictly from the perspective of Google. Okay, so we want to optimize for Google. Of course, there are a lot of other search portals out there and search engines, but in fact, a report that I was reading is just a couple weeks ago showed that Google still dominates search by a huge factor. About 80% of all search queries still come from Google, and 20% come from basically the competitors. You're talking Yahoo, Bing, and any other search engine out there. So Google's really, for all intents and purposes, what we're going to be referring to today when we talk about our SEO efforts. Now, SEO, of course, is constantly evolving. A long time ago, it was very simple, or much more simple than it is nowadays. It was all about inbound links, so what sites are linking to yours or your specific content or pages on your site, with proper anchor text, meaning that if somebody was linking to your site and they had the words, great running blog, and they were linking to your site, that was a huge indication for Google. Keyword density, so how many keywords relevant to the topic were actually showing up in your content, and lots of metadata, lots of easily manipulable metadata that can be manipulated. So maybe not necessarily manipulated, but there was a much more heavy reliance put on that. Fast forward, 10, 12 years in the future, and it's much, much, much different. Sadly, though, many people still associate if they're not familiar with SEO, to be associated almost primarily with these things, and that's not really the case anymore. Before we get into what works, let's actually take a look at what's irrelevant now, and actually, furthermore, even what's dangerous. Because if you make a couple errors, Google can take penalties and apply them to your website and have it so that you actually basically fall off the face of the search map. You don't show up in those search engine result pages or those SERPs where you want to be for certain search queries. Let's take a look at a couple really major ones now. Explicit keyword repetition. That is dangerous, because if you have content, say you're writing a post and it's about a new coffee maker, okay, and you have 500 words and 50 of those words are coffee maker. You excessively put in the word coffee maker in there. Google understands that you're probably trying to manipulate the content a little bit and place an overemphasis on a certain keyword. So make sure that when you're doing your content, you're avoiding explicit purposeful keyword repetition. You're not overstuffing keywords into your content just for the sake of having more of them. Paid backlinks. Now, this gets a little bit beyond our discussion today, but it is worth noting because Google has taken some very heavy action in the past 2 years against sites who pay other sites to link to them. Now, like I was just saying, one of the biggest indicators for Google still, although not quite as much, it's declining in terms of how much they rely on it, is other websites that link to yours. That's a great outside indicator for the popularity and the relevancy of a site to certain content and purposes. If you as a a blogger or a website owner say, okay, I want to go and pay other sites to have a link leading to my site. Google claims that they've gotten very good at recognizing what links are being paid for, and they will actually penalize you for doing that. So be very wary of paid backlinks. Also be very wary of backlinks from poor quality sites. So if you have a parked landing page that somebody hasn't updated in months and months and months or even years, and they for whatever reason have a link to your site, Google could actually take action on that too and say, well, there's a bunch of low quality sites that are linking into your site, so we're actually going to slap a penalty on you for having these indicators from these terrible sites be associated with your site. So be wary of having poor quality sites linked to you as well. Excessive backlinks with the same anchor text. So if those sites who are linking out to you all have the exact same anchor text, so if every single site who ever linked to you in the history, of the internet, every single one of those links going to your site said the word best runner blog ever, or something to that degree, if every single backlink was with that, Google would probably raise an eyebrow to that and say, well, since they're all the same, does that mean they've paid for them, or does that mean there's some sort of link building scheme that we're not aware of behind the scenes? So make sure that if there are any backlinks going to your site, if you have any control over what those backlinks actually, what anchor text is actually associated with those links, if you have control over that, make sure it's different, as much so as you possibly can. Okay, this is the biggest one, and this is actually something that you really have more control over than anything else, and that is duplicate content. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a blogger, make sure you are not copying content from anywhere else on the web, at least from a wholesale perspective. If you like a post from another site and you wanted to create a post based on that, and you basically said hey, here's a great post from xyz.com, and you copy and pasted that entire other post and put it on your site, Google will slap you hard for that. Duplicate content is a major, major indicator to Google that you are offering low quality duplicate content because it's already been available somewhere else. So do not, under any circumstance, make sure that you have large amounts of duplicate content. Now, if you have something like, from an affiliate standpoint, if you're utilizing, say, product descriptions, that's okay. Google has indicated that they're very aware of things like product descriptions that are the same, that are used across not only all affiliate sites, but many merchant sites as well. So that stuff is generally okay, but if you're copying a lot of content from other sites online and just pasting it wholesale on your site, you will get dinged very quickly with a duplicate content penalty from Google. Finally, what's irrelevant? This isn't necessarily dangerous, but Google has time and time again said that social presence on Facebook and Twitter and links from those don't really affect how you rank in a search engine result page. So you may have the largest community on Facebook of 1 million people, but to Google, that doesn't really have any bearing on where you're actually going to rank in search results. Now, this is a very, very controversial one. There's been a lot of studies that have indicated, yes, that's true, and no, it's not true. But the majority of information that we've seen says that Google does not factor in a social presence in determining where you actually show up in search result sites. So there we go. That's what's irrelevant and potentially even dangerous. Let's take a look at what is actually relevant now and things that you as an affiliate who is content heavy actually have complete and total control over. You know what? Looks like we have a quick question. Looks like Myrna again. Let me go ahead and take you off of mute. Okay, perfect. No problem at all. That's a great question. So say for example, I'm actually going to switch over here to this website. So pretend, for example, I have this. Myrna, I'm going to put you right back on mute here. If this doesn't answer your question, raise your hand again and let me know. But to take a stab at this, if I was to share this, say I wanted to actually tweet this review that I did out, and on Twitter it had, the title of my headline here on Twitter as well. That's generally totally fine. Google recognizes that shared content like this is actually a very, very good indicator, especially if somebody else is referencing it on their site. If they're referencing something like a title of a post, that's totally fine. With shared content across social channels, there's really nothing to be worried about because For the most part, a lot of social channels, at least where content is shared, is considered deep web, meaning that you have to have an account and a password to actually get in to access, and see what other people are sharing on either their Facebook pages or profiles. And Google can't actually crawl if you're setting your statuses to private on either your groups or your profiles. They can't crawl that information, so they can't even see that you're sharing that for a lot of the times. Now, if it's a public-facing profile, say you have a Twitter account that's open to the public, that generally doesn't have any concerns as far as duplicate content is concerned. What's really, really dangerous is if you were like, hey, I really like this review. I have an outdoor site too, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy, all this and then, make a post out of this and say like, hey, this was a really good, post that I found on xyz.com, and then you paste all this content. That's where it gets really dangerous. Sharing this stuff on a social network, generally not a problem at all. There's really no bearing on either negative or positive, again, at least according to Google, on sharing content on a social platform like Facebook or Twitter. So that's a great question. Hopefully that helps. Let's get back then to talking about what is relevant right now. And we generally find that Google is placing the most value, and this is really not an argued point. This is for sure. Regularly posted, unique, and value-driven content is the biggest thing that Google looks for. Are you posting fresh content? Is it something that's unique, that's can't be found anywhere else on the internet? And is it value-driven, meaning that can a user go to the site and get something from your content that they can't get elsewhere? Is it something related to current events or a review on a product that you're giving your opinion on? Remember the idea that content is king. And this is based on the idea that Google is claiming that their search algorithms and the ability for them to associate value on a site is purely driven from their search engines becoming, or their search algorithms becoming contextually analysis. They have the ability to contextually analyze the content on your page. Now, nobody's sure how they do that, but they claim that their systems and their platform can actually look at the content on your page and contextually analyze it as if they were a regular end user looking at the page, and then they can assign value on that content. And that really lends credibility to the idea that the best SEO tactic, at least from a starting point, is to make sure that you have regularly posted unique and value-driven content. If there's one thing to take away from this, remember that it is content is king. So if we go back once again to this site that we are looking at right here, Outdoor Gear Reviews, you'll see that this jacket that we actually posted up on the February affiliate training webinar, this jacket review is something that we posted live on that last training webinar. This jacket review is completely unique. You're not going to find this word-for-word review anywhere else. These are my opinions completely, and it has lots of different pictures and lots of different links to learn a little bit more about these actual jackets that I was reviewing here. Google really likes this. Google likes to see this new type of post up and something with complete and total relevancy towards the product that I'm talking about, or the item or topic that I'm talking about, and the fact that this is unique entirely to my site. It looks like we have a written question here. What is your definition of regular? Oh, how often do you recommend? Okay, that is an awesome question. That's from Dennis. You're not seeing it, but I'm high-fiving you over the screen here. That's a great question. And this is also something that's been hotly debated. My personal recommendation is 2 to about 3 posts a month, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Just depends on your time. But if you can get away with 2 to 3 posts a month, that's a pretty regular indication to Google that you have some pretty solid repetition. Now, I almost would say that it's maybe not getting loads of new content onto your site, but it's more important to have a history of established repetition. So if you do a post every 2 weeks and Google can kind of get a feel for that, that's very, very, very valuable to you. Anything more than that, of course, the more the merrier. The more content that you have, that's certainly going to benefit you. But if you're only updating your blog, maybe say once every 6 months, that's probably going to work against you. There's probably going to be a lot of other blogs or other platforms or publishers that Google's going to place more value on for topics that are relevant to the overall purpose of your blog, because they're a little bit more frequent with their posting. So my recommendation, at a minimum, maybe strive for twice a month, but if you can do more, that's definitely better. So let's head back to the slideshow here. Another thing, and this is probably as technical as we are going to get today, but an XML sitemap for your website. So what is a web or a sitemap? A sitemap is basically kind of a digital map that shows everything on your website, every major page, every major post that you have, and it helps Google's crawlers. Crawlers are these automated systems that go through your site and find out, okay, well, your homepage links to this post, and this post links to this post, and it helps them get kind of a fill or almost a map of your website. And sitemaps really help these crawlers navigate around your entire site and get a feel for what posts there are and what content there is. Now, XML sitemaps are very easy to create. In fact, one of the main default tools that are used for creating sitemaps is called XMLSitemaps.com. You're all welcome to visit this. We have no affiliation with this here at AvantLink. This is just a great free tool that I personally have used many times to actually create a sitemap for my websites. Now, when you create a sitemap, this is where things get a little bit technical. And I'm not going to demonstrate this here because if you don't know what I'm talking about, it would be a little bit hard to get you up to speed. But once you've created a sitemap, and all you really have to do, you know what? We'll actually create one here live. Hopefully this works. I haven't actually tried this before on a live webinar, but we're going to go to outdoorgearreviews.com. I want to create a sitemap for this. My change frequency, I generally change it maybe every, we'll say monthly. And I'm just going to come down here and hit start. And you'll see that it's generating my sitemap right now. We'll give it just a moment. Now, sitemaps, of course, you have to submit them to Google. You have to let Google know where you can actually find a sitemap on your site. And there's a couple ways to do this. First off, if you're on your site, if somewhere maybe in the footer all the way down at the bottom, you can put a little link that says sitemap. Google can access it that way. Or, more importantly, if you are familiar with a tool called Webmaster Tools, Google offers a couple tools for bloggers. There's Google Analytics, which I'm sure the majority of you are familiar with, but they also kind of have a sister program or a sister platform called Google Webmaster Tools that lets you do kind of some things in there that you couldn't originally do in Google Analytics. And one of those things, I'm actually going to bring that up right here, is submit a sitemap. This is a Webmaster Tools build that I have personally that I've created for Outdoor Gear Reviews, the site that we're looking at right here. And you can access this by going to Google Webmaster Tools. They have a little bit of a setup process, and I'm not going to get into any details on here. But once you've set this up, you can add a sitemap. And you can see here that my sitemap for Outdoor Gear Reviews can be found at outdoorgearreviews.com/sitemap.xml. And I basically told Google, hey, instead of crawling my entire site, why don't you just come look at the sitemap? And this breaks down every major post and page that I have, and we've done the work for you. Sitemaps are a very easy way to get Google familiar with not only your home page, but all major content and important pages on your site. So very important, if you have the technical ability to access Webmaster Tools or create a sitemap, I would recommend doing so. Let's come back to this site. So we just downloaded or created a sitemap using this tool right here, XMLSitemaps.com. And it says your sitemap is ready. You can go ahead and download the sitemap file here. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. And all a sitemap is to Google, the way it looks, is just a big text document right here. This isn't going to look like much to most people looking at this, but for Google, they see a lot of things. They see change frequency. You know, this site, it changes monthly. Here's the location of this page on this site. This is very helpful for their crawlers to be able to access your entire site here. Now, this is again where I was telling you that it gets a little bit technical. For those of you who are familiar with FTP, you're actually going to have to upload this sitemap to your site through an FTP file. Now, if you're a WordPress user and you're not familiar with FTP, there actually is one other way that you can do this, and that's by creating a WordPress build or a sitemap through your WordPress admin page by utilizing an XML site build or sitemap builder as a plugin. So here's what I mean by that. Let's come over here to my admin screen on WordPress, and I'm going to come down here to my plugins page. And part of my plugins here, I have an awesome little tool that I'd recommend to everybody who's using WordPress called Google XML Sitemaps. You can search for that on Google, or you can even search in it through the Add New Plugin screen here. Now, I'm not going to get into too much details how to use it, but basically what this plugin does is it creates a sitemap for my site through the WordPress interface here and automatically creates that sitemap without me having to upload it through an FTP server. So that's a much easier way for WordPress users who may not be familiar with the FTP protocol to be uploading files. Definitely recommend using either this tool, the XML. Looks like I exited out of it, but that xmlsitemaps.com or this Google XML Sitemaps plugin for WordPress. Sitemaps don't obviously guarantee that you're going to be, showing up first page for, any Google search result, but it certainly does help Google get familiar with your site a little bit more. So very important step there. Definitely recommend taking a look at sitemaps for anybody who hasn't already. Let's keep going. Keywords included in the title. Now, one thing that I was telling you about before that you don't want to do is have this overpacked keyword density in your content. So if I'm doing a jacket review, I don't want to include jacket 100 times in my content here. That's bad. In fact, I've included jacket I think about 10 times in this content, which isn't too bad for a 500, 600 word post right here. That's a very relevant keyword density. But you want to make sure that you try to include your keyword in the title. And in this title, I've done just that. I've included the word jacket and actually the name of the product in the title of my post. So Marmot Zeus jacket. So if your post details how to say like make a homemade birthday card, include birthday card in the title. This is real. Almost, from a usability standpoint, you'll want to make sure that your users understand that the post is about birthday cards. So this is really ground level, not even SEO, but content generation. The second thing is to make the title for the user, not for Google. A lot of people have a problem with this. They think that, okay, the title needs to be totally relevant to a Google search. And I'll give you an example. Let's say that we want to search for make homemade birthday card right here, okay? That is an actual Google search. We can see that people are searching for that. So a lot of web publishers and bloggers think, well, I need to title my, my content exactly what we think a search result would look like or search would look like in Google. And the answer to that is no. Because Google can get contextually, or they can analyze your content from a contextual standpoint, you'll want to make sure that you're really titling your titles for the users, for your visitors and for your readers, and not for a search result. Or rather for a search engine. In this case, instead of saying, something like make homemade birthday cards, put something that's fun and actually relevant to the end user. How to make amazing birthday cards from home. That is a much better title, and odds are Google's actually going to be able to see that a little bit better, or analyze that a little bit better than something that's been clearly put together for a search engine. Okay, looks like we have another question here. Sammy, let me go ahead and take you off mute here. What's your question? Sammy, you there? Okay, you know what? I'm going to put you back on mute. Looks like we have a written question. Oh, looks like you wrote it in. Can foreign companies really be trusted that offer free content for one site with just simple HTML coding? Can foreign companies really be trusted that offer free content for one site with just simple HTML coding? Not entirely sure what you're referring to, but if you're asking for a company who's saying, hey, here's content for your affiliate site, or for your website, maybe not even affiliate site, here's free content, here's some HTML, I would be very wary about integrating that in with your site. Odds are, if they're already hosting it and they already have the content on their site, and you put it on your site, Google is probably going to look at that as duplicate content. I don't want to take up too much time here, everyone. I want to try to keep this within an hour. But on that note, Sammy, I actually have a very good example of just how this is actually used, or how to kind of avoid that. Um, Let me see here. I'm going to go to avantlink.com. I'm going to go to our blog. And I'm going to come down here to merchant blogs, actually. So blogs that we offer for some of our merchants. Let's come down to Massey's Outfitter gear articles. Okay, so Massey's Outfitters is a very, very innovative program on the AvantLink network. And one thing that they did for a while was they were offering free gear reviews to affiliates, where they said, okay, look, we've created a gear review for a specific product that you have, that you as an affiliate can copy and paste and put it on your site. Now, from the outset, that seems like a bad idea, right? That seems like you're going to be having a big duplicate content penalty slapped on you. And if you were to just copy this and put it on your site wholesale, yes, you would likely be slapped with a duplicate content penalty, because this content is hosted on this merchant's blog right here. Now, on the other hand, we recommended, or the program manager recommended, you to add your own thoughts and opinions and experiences to this review right here too. And what we saw was a lot of affiliates copied and pasted this content, put it on their site, but they actually adjusted a lot of the content here. They added their own thoughts and experiences. They said, yeah, I've had a trail running experience with this particular shoe, blah, 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 and added their own content in to mix it up. So this content, or this review in the end, wasn't just a wholesale, just complete copy and paste on their site. And we found that they weren't really getting hit with duplicate content penalties, at least according to the affiliates. That was a really effective way of utilizing existing content, but in a manner that's been manipulated and restructured to your own, to incorporate your own thoughts and opinions, and to make it so it's not just 100% duplicate content. That actually was a very effective strategy, and we saw a lot of affiliates who were utilizing that content in very effective ways. So hopefully that answers your question. I would be wary of just some company saying, like, here's some content, feel free to use it. I would be very, very wary of that. On the other hand, if you're working hand in hand with, say, like a merchant who's providing content, who encourages you to customize it to your own uses, please feel free to do that. Just be wary that you need to make sure that you're adjusting this at least enough to where it's different and people can recognize it as being your own experience with this product as well. So sorry, a little bit of a tangent there. Okay, so we just talked about make the title for the user, not Google. One other example of this is in this jacket review, I was telling the users that this was a long-term review, a Marmot Zeus jacket. Whereas if I wanted to structure this title just for Google search results, I might have just said something simply like Marmot Zeus jacket review. Which I didn't do here. I said that this was clearly a long-term review. This is something we've been reviewing for a while, and then incorporated the name and the product. Okay, let's look at the next thing. Here's a little bonus one. Site title structure. Many people just have their site listed up. And what I mean by the title structure of your site is if we go to Outdoor Gear Reviews, and you see me hover all the way up here in the top, my site title says Outdoor Gear Reviews, and then it has a little pipe delimiter, and it says Reviewing Outdoor Gear so you don't have to. This is my own personal recommendation, so don't take this as, total SEO, like law here. But my personal finding is that if you can structure your title to say, what you're about, so trail running shoe reviews. Maybe I'm, chadwaitestrailrun.com or whatever, but what I normally do is trail run reviews. I'm going to actually put that in my site title. So trail running shoe reviews, and then I would have my URL to follow, runnerdudeblog.com. This isn't so much something that's meant for search engines. It could certainly have some great, impact on how search engines view our site. But it's more important for the end user. So visitors to my site, when they actually see the title of my site, they now know that I'm talking about outdoor gear reviews on this site. Or I'm talking about trail running shoe reviews on this site. So that's kind of a good way to title your structure. Or title the site name here. Optimize your articles. I'm going to go through this very briefly. This is associating something called metadata with your articles, and this is very easily done. You'll want to make sure that for every page or post, you have a title and a summarized description of that page. The best way that I can demo this is by talking about it from a WordPress perspective. With WordPress, there is an awesome SEO plugin called Yoast WordPress SEO. Look that up right now, WordPress users. You will never be the same after this WordPress SEO plugin. You'll want to make sure that you're utilizing this. What this looks like, once I actually get it installed in on my site, at the bottom of every page and every post that I create on my WordPress platform, there's this little box that says WordPress SEO by Yoast. And what it allows me to do is put in an SEO title and a meta description with this. So basically, what do search engines see when they see this particular review? So my SEO title, I always want to make sure that the title of this post is the exact same thing up here. So I'm just going to copy the title up here and paste it down here in this title box. You'll want to make sure that this title for SEO purposes is 100% similar to the actual title of your post. You don't want to have any difference between the two. And then down here in a meta description, I want to be able to customize and make a short description of what users can see in this post. What will they get if they read this? All of this content right here. So I'm going to put something that says, we finalize a long-term review of the Marmot Zeus down jacket with fantastic results. Something simple like that. So what can the user expect? They can see our results from our review of the Marmot Zeus down jacket here. And the nice thing about WordPress, this WordPress SEO by Yoast plugin, is that it actually gives you a snippet preview. If you show up in a search result, here's exactly what the end user will see when they see your article listed in the search results. They'll see the title right here that we've just specified, the actual URL of that particular post as well, and then the description of what they can expect. So this is a really powerful plugin, and I would recommend that for every single post or page that you're doing, whether you're on WordPress or not, you're adding metadata that includes your SEO title and meta description here. Make it so that search engines can really optimize this post and get a feel for what's included in there. Okay, let's keep going. Structure your URLs for keywords. This is very important. I'm not going to get into how to do this. There's plenty of good articles on this, and especially through WordPress, it's easier than ever. In fact, I actually think that this is now the default way to structure your URLs. But you'll want to make sure that your URLs aren't like this. xyz.com/post/March of 2011, post number 49223. That's very, very bad. That is not SEO friendly at all. Something much better would be xyz.com/the name of the post that you just did. Let me give you an example of this. Going back to outdoor gear reviews, if we click on this specific long-term review for this Marmot Zeus jacket, you'll actually see that the URL of this is outdoorgearreviews.com/Marmot Zeus jacket review. Now, here's where I get very specific with this. I highly recommend that you actually categorize your URLs as something being search engine friendly. So you'll remember that for the titles, I recommended to use this or to structure these as being very user friendly. But the exact opposite is true for my personal recommendation. For the URL titles, I would really recommend that you structure these, and I'll actually show you how to do it on WordPress right up here. You can actually structure the permalink as being whatever you want it to be. So in this case, I said I want it to be Marmot Zeus jacket review. And that's a term that I think would be very searchable on Google. In fact, if we open up a new tab and we say Marmot Zeus jacket review, right there, you can tell that that's a search term that because it appears in Google Instant right there, people are searching for that. So I've structured my actual URL title for this particular blog post to be very, very search engine friendly here. Make sure you're doing that over any other structure. Make sure that you're actually including the keywords and title in your post here, or in your URL structure rather. Optimize your images. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most overlooked aspect of SEO on a huge scale. Google fully admits that they are very bad at contextually analyzing images. Well, they can do it very well with content. They have a hard time of doing it with standalone images. And the way that they do this, the way that they help rank images for ranking in Google's image searches, is by looking oftentimes at the title and alt text of your image. So what do I mean by that? I mean that if I hover over this, or if I was to look at the metadata for this, there would be an alt tag associated with this particular image, as well as a title. So you can actually see back here in this WordPress for this particular image. I'm just going to bring up the image configuration button here. You'll see that with this image, I have added a Marmot Zeus down jacket as the alternative text, and the title should actually say Marmot Zeus down jacket as well. So if you can add a title and an alternative text snippet to this particular to any particular image that you have, it really helps Google contextually analyze that image much better. Seriously, this is one of the most underutilized efforts from not only affiliates but major websites out there too, who have full SEO teams working on it all the time. If you want to take this one step further, if you upload an image to your server, either through WordPress or through FTP, be mindful of the actual file name of that image. What I mean by file name is, say we were to go and upload this, GoToWebinar hand raise icon for a blog post. I would actually want to make sure that the title of this is GoToWebinar hand raise icon, just like this. Because Google can actually see when they're loading and pull it, or when your site loads and pulls this image from the server, what that actual image is titled as. That's a really important aspect, and that gets a little bit deeper and something that's just yet another indicator to Google what that image may be about. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you're optimizing your images. This is really one of the most overlooked areas in all of SEO. I'm not going to get into details on this, but if you have the wherewithal to go look at what's called Google Authorship, make sure you have authorship in place. This is going to be one of the biggest factors for proper SEO down the line. For WordPress, there are a bunch of awesome plugins that do this, but just a quick note on authorship. Basically what it is it puts a picture and name next to any post that's been posted by somebody who has a Google Plus account and authorship installed on their site or associated with their site. Now this explicitly requires you to be part of Google Plus, and I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to go into this because it would take a long time to kind of go through everything, but if you can Google the authorship and you are a member of Google Plus and you're active on there, this becomes one of the major indicators to Google, and I would think that almost any SEO pro in the industry or SEO guru would recommend that authorship is vital to becoming more involved in higher SERPs. If you're an analytics person, use Google Analytics. That's a great way to kind of keep track of how many visitors you have and what referral sources in terms of like X amount of visitors are coming through search engines, X amount of visitors are coming through direct type-ins, and so on. And finally, we covered this already, use Google Webmaster Tools. It's a very, very helpful tool. I'm not going to get into it here, but there are plenty of tutorials online, plenty of videos on YouTube that really help get you familiar with Webmaster Tools and analytics as well. If you want more resources on anything that we've covered, kissmetrics.com has an awesome blog post called The Simple Guide to SEO that covers much of what we have just covered here, but in a little bit more in-depth, kind of written out detail. One of my favorites personally is moz.com/blog. Moz has awesome content on not only SEO and optimization, but proper content and community curation, and a lot of other subjects that are very relevant to you as an affiliate, especially if you're very content driven. And finally, the last one, searchengineland.com, is awesome for staying up to date on changes within Google's algorithm. This is a little bit more advanced in terms of the actual subject matter that's being addressed, but definitely something if you're looking to get more into SEO that I would recommend. So these three resources are absolutely fantastic. With this, that is the end of the SEO side of things. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or ask it in the little written questions box. It actually does look like we have a question from Sammy. Let me go ahead and unmute you. Okay, you're unmuted, Sammy. Go ahead and ask away. Or it looks like you wrote in again. Let me go ahead and take a look at that. Sorry, give me just a moment here.